going to launch us into a new generation as a student nurses organization. And, you know, for me, it was the fact that we need somebody that's going to step up Sunday morning and take the helm. We've got an amazing leader with our current president, and I want to continue the work that he has done and continue the work that our board of directors have done.
The next question will be, how would you strengthen relationships with other healthcare organizations, unions, and government bodies within the office of president to advance the interest of nurses?
So I think as I've come to many of your caucuses, you know, advocacy is at my core. You know, I am the squeaky wheel in the Kentucky State House. I'm sure when they see my name on the wait list in the lobby, these senators are probably like, geez, he's back again. You know, I want us to be represented. I'm tired of nursing students and nurses being given the crumbs that are left on the floor and not the bounty of food that's left for everybody else. I also think that by partnering with other professional student healthcare organizations, that we start that collaboration. Because when we get into the field, when we have those patients, you know, we're collaborating together, and why not start that early?
Thank you, Ryan. The next question will be, how would you describe your leadership style, and how would it benefit this organization and its members with you in the presidential spot?
So I wish my state board could answer this question because they could probably tell you best. But for me, it is not being the one that's consistently in the spotlight. There's room for everybody, and everybody's voice should be heard and processed and weighed before a decision is made. And so that's how I handle pretty much anything involving leadership. Sometimes there are tough decisions that have to be made, uncomfortable circumstances that do necessitate, you know, the president taking a stance or making a decision. But for the vast majority, it's about collaborating together with your board and with your partners to make a better decision for everybody.
Thank you, Ryan. We have two more general questions for you. What do you believe is the most critical issue facing nurses today, and how would you prioritize addressing it if you were elected into office?
Hands down, nurse violence. I graduated with my associate's degree in December. I'm in an RN to BSN program now. I work in a very busy emergency room in Lexington, Kentucky, and I can tell you I have already experienced workplace violence as a nurse. We should never have to go to work and experience this. And there are creative ways to navigate our safety. You know, some of you, I've heard from some of you in different states how you're handling the issue, and I think if we collaborate together, we can find a solution to address the cause.
Thank you. And our final general question would be, where do you see the nursing profession heading in the next 5 to 10 years, and what steps should our organization take to prepare for that future that you envision?
So I think it depends on leadership. Looking at where our country is going, looking where our country could go. If there's support and we are advocating, I see us being 25 years ahead of where we are in 10 years. But if we're not advocating and we're not speaking up collectively, I think we stagnate. And that's where we have to come together. Every state comes together, equipping the states with the ability to advocate on the state level, to build our professional.
Thank you. Our next set of questions will be about workplace safety and violence. The Nominating and Elections Committee understands the importance of workplace safety and violence and addresses as a major concern that we would like the president of NSNA to address this next following term. The question will be, what role do nurses play in shaping policies and advocacy efforts aimed at reducing violence in healthcare settings?
I think this goes to making sure that we're at the table. Because a lot of times policies come from HR, they come from medical boards, that we're never involved in that conversation. And if we're not involved in that conversation, a lot of times these policies are made without thinking through the process. How do we make sure that we're ensuring patient safety across the hospital system? You know, that is practical.
The next question will be, how does your organization, NSNA, collaborate with other healthcare entities or unions to address workplace violence for nurses?
Again, I think it's a collaborative approach that you're looking at what the physicians are seeing, what the medical boards are seeing, what the nursing associations are seeing, what NCSBN, state boards are seeing, and coming up with a unified approach of how we deal with this. Because there are a lot of creative solutions out there after talking with many of you, how you're handling it in your states. And I think that by talking together and discussing the issue, you're really going to see a solution that maybe doesn't address every issue, but addresses the majority of issues and can be curtailed to individual hospital systems.
Our final question on workplace safety and violence will be, if you are a nurse in a huddle and you hear another nurse start ranking another new graduate nurse on the floor, what action would you take and why?
So I think our keynote speaker hit the nail on the head about getting away from nurses eating their own. If you're not advocating, and advocacy is not going to the Capitol, is not just going and talking at conventions, it's advocating at the bedside. We should never be eating our own, regardless of their inexperience or mistakes. There are ways that we handle issues that come up, and it's not in front of a patient. And it's not by eating that nurse, even if they're not in front of the patient. So redirecting that conversation, and if that can't happen in that environment, you go up the chain of command. You go to your charge nurse, you go to your house administrator, or if your director's on there. Because we should never be allowed to do that, and we should never have to experience that.
Thank you, Ryan. Our next section of questions will be on infection prevention and control. We as the NEC believe that this is an important topic, especially post-COVID within our nation as nurses. And so we feel that these questions are appropriate for you to understand and for us to know with you as the president of NSNA in the future, possibly. Our first question will be, numbers post-COVID outbreak are still affecting membership. What are you going to do post-COVID to help increase membership of NSNA across the nation?
I think it starts with equipping our states with the knowledge of how we best have worked, how other states have best worked on recruitment and retention. I can tell you in the state of Kentucky, I've driven over 7,000 miles in my 2 terms, visiting every